Well, welcome back everyone to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is our menopause mentor, Danyale Thomas. Hi, Danyale.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Good to have you back.
Yeah.
Every time that you're on, I've been learning more and more. And so we do have the first flyer we want to showcase with the symptoms. We've talked about these 36 symptoms, and last month we were kind of talking about this, and you gave us a little bit of an overview. But it sounds like this week we want to kind of dive into some ways that we can take care of ourselves with these symptoms. Give us a little bit more background here.
So one of the symptoms that women usually complain about most is the weight gain that comes on with the decline in estrogen. So as estrogen declines, we tend to become insulin resistant, and then that causes visceral fat to show up around our midsections. And visceral fat is hard to lose. Because estrogen has declined, it also can cause type 2 diabetes. It also can cause our heart to be affected. So heart disease is the #1 killer of women during their menopause years. So the weight gain just contributes to that because it puts more stress on our heart. So I wanted to talk about that in particular.
Well, this is a really important point here. I know for me, there's been extra weight that I've carried since I had my children, and I'm like, look, this year I'm serious about getting it off. But I didn't realize that weight gain was one of those symptoms that we got to be mindful of for those women who are entering those menopause years. So now you're saying there's some things we can actually do to maybe remedy this?
Well, I don't want to think about it as just losing weight to be losing weight. One of the things that you can do just to support your system are nootropics. So nootropics are substances that are derived to be able to help with your cognitive ability. Because I say that you can want to lose weight. Really what you need to do is around your diet, right, and your exercise. But because your motivation is down, then you can tend to not be able to do the things that need to be done to actually lose the weight. So nootropics can help you because they contribute to things like your memory, things like raising your energy level, things like your cognitive ability, right? So getting you focused so that you can do what needs to be done to lose the weight.
And we have a flyer here that you were just talking about with the nootropics. I want to make sure we show that. But also, too, I mean, you're talking about the idea that we can actually get some help with this, which I think is sometimes where a lot of people have despair, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're thinking about how they have to do this on their own. And then there's also, I think, the apprehension of not really knowing what some of these supplements are going to do to our bodies. Can you tell us about, are there any kind of side effects of these nootropics?
Well,
or what kind of things have you learned in that regard?
Yeah, that's important to think through. You should, anything before you start it, you should check with your healthcare provider because you want to check and make sure that anything that you're already taking doesn't also, somehow contribute to you not feeling well by taking something else, right? And because these are naturally derived, there's not a lot of, people don't really know how they're going to affect you, right? So you have to, use it with a grain of salt and make your choices that are best for you and ease into it, but always start with talking to your healthcare professional.
Well, when we talk about nootropics, I always love to give a personal account. So I want to ask, I mean, have you been able to utilize any of these?
Yeah.
Have you been able to see a great benefit from them? Tell us more about your personal experience.
So my favorite is ashwagandha, and it's probably the most well-known. It's Ayurvedic derivative, and the way I use it is to help lower my stress level, right? Help to keep me calm, because that's the way I feel like anxiety rises as your estrogen declines. We're not able to stabilize our moods the way we used to. So with ashwagandha, I find that I'm able to settle in and focus and alleviate some of the stress that comes out throughout the day.
Yeah, ashwagandha is a big one, and it's becoming more and more, I think, either widely used or widely known. And it's interesting because now you can get it a lot of different places because they're realizing the benefits of it. I know for me, there's been a way to kind of utilize ashwagandha in the same regard, but it also aids in some of my other practices. So if folks are out there already have a practice of mindfulness or peace, right? Like, what do you do to induce peace? And so for me, meditation's been huge with that, but the ashwagandha is a great benefit to something that I'm already doing. So I love this because when we think about the different ways that we can address menopause, which I don't know. I want to touch on this a bit because I think some people think there's nothing they can do.
There's definitely
so I want to
things you
hear
can
a
do.
little bit more about like, yeah, there's things you can do out there.
I think being really dedicated to a practice, right? So I have a morning routine that I'm dedicated to making sure that I exercise, making sure that I choose the right foods for my body, definitely based on what I'm going through today, right? So it makes a difference for us to be more vigilant and conscious about our health choices, and more vigilant about who we contact and talk to about those health choices. There's so many professionals. I have found that not always my medical provider knows what to do in this regard. They don't always have, what fits me is trying to do more natural substances to put into my body, and that's not the route that they usually go. And coming to a point where personally, I can't take HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. Not all women can. And so knowing that there's other things that we can do to help support our system so that we can alleviate some of the symptoms that are showing up.
Yeah, I think this is definitely key to it. And, you know, just having the conversation already, I think, is what we've talked about from the beginning. That is starting to bring more information out and also let folks, the women specifically, know like there's something you can do. I think at some point we're going to be talking about the ways that partners, right, support women through this. So maybe that's like a future topic. But I think, too, that there's, for me, I found that learning this, honestly, Danielle, has been the game changer because now I can prepare myself for it. And there's been things for me where I've been like, okay, I want to be healthier. I want to understand my body more. So I just went through an Ayurvedic questionnaire. Shout out to you, Sadiqa, because you had me all the way right. Sadiqa Iman, y'all, and Niles Edge, they do that.
Yeah.
But I went through this, pretty extensive questionnaire to understand what my body chemistry is when it comes to Ayurvedic medicine and the different types of the body types. And so I learned that I'm like Kapha Vata. And as she was explaining this to me, I'm like, wait a minute. She was trying to take away my popcorn, y'all. Now, people out there know how much I have talked about my love for popcorn, but it's so true. Understanding what foods you need to add more into your diet and what foods you need to really start to eliminate from your diet based on your body type is so important. Is that also helpful in this pathway that you're talking about from dealing with the symptoms of menopause?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, other ways that the nootropics can help support you in the sense of alleviating the anxiety that you have, which causes women to sometimes overeat or indulge in things that they're not necessarily good for them. So, you know, there's ways for us, there's already substances that can help us with weight gain specifically, right? Another nootropics is caffeine, right? It's in a lot of products that they promote for weight loss, right? Because it gives you that energy boost. But sometimes we don't always need the energy boost. We need the focus so that we can make better choices for ourselves. So again, starting with your healthcare provider, asking all the questions, and being diligent and vigilant about making sure that they give you the fullness of the answers and press them a little bit. I like to ask questions and have them also research things that are out of their prescription wheelhouse, right? Because then you can be better informed for yourself and what the choices are that you're making.
Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier too, like sometimes you need to seek additional help or additional support. I know we started showcasing some practitioners from the Seattle Wellness Collective and just listening to Fonse Simon, who was our first practitioner that came on talking about acupuncture and the benefits. I didn't realize this wide array of benefits. So I think some of this too is incorporating newer techniques. Well, they're not newer. Some of these are really ancient, but newer for you, right? Newer for your regimen and what you've been used to, because you know we could easily fall back on just, hey, I did my annual exam,
Right.
you know, for women, okay, I got my mammogram, okay, I'm good, right? But I think that there are things we can also glean from when it comes to other ways or holistic ways of practices of medicine that can also aid us in this. So I appreciate you sharing this today. Of course, if folks are trying to get more insight, they want to be part of this amazing collective that you have put together and made sure that women have a space with mainstreaming menopause, look right there, let them know how they connect.
You can connect with me at Mainstreaming Menopause, which is a group on Facebook. We give all kinds of fun tidbits and give you a real community of women to be connected to. So Mainstreaming Menopause.
Thank you so much, Danyale, for being here. We appreciate your mentoring us throughout this practice.
It's always
learning,
good to be here.
Yeah, learning so much. Thank you. Y'all, I'm telling you, these Menopause Mondays always get me right because honestly, of course, as a woman, this is something I'm going to expect in my life, but it also is something I get to share with other women in my life. So I'm always excited to have Danyale here. Y'all know I'm going to be wrapping it right up after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.